can't be with us because it's too late or too early, and so we're recording all of the sessions, but also for you so that you can have them afterwards if you can't, make it. So you'll all get these recordings as part of the package, which I think is great, especially the more academic ones. It's really nice to be able to revisit them and take them in your own stride and just stop and start. So very cool to have you. We have 70 participants from all over around the world coming in and out of the various talks this week. And this is our first meeting and our introductory meeting. So let's start as we mean to carry on. Oh, nice to see your face, Janine, and you, Anna. Hi. So we normally start our meetings just with a little silence, just to get the mind into the present moment. There's so much distraction, isn't there, bringing us into the past and bringing us into the future. So let's see if we can come into the present, this golden present, this gift, just with a few breaths. So this lovely yogi way of bringing us into joy and into harmony, actually, by just closing your eyes if you feel comfortable, if you're in a place where you can do that, and take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. Another one. Already you start to feel the shoulders relaxing, the back relaxing, the face relaxing. And finally, final breath, inhale. And exhale fully and completely. Okay, as usual, I'm going to start with some oms, just again to focus the mind, to bring us into the present moment. So if we can just, if you want to join us where you are, you can. Otherwise, you can just listen. Sahana Munaktu, Sahano Munaktu, Saharviryam Karavavahe, Tejasvina Vaditamastu, Ma Vitveshavahe. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So, got a few people coming in now. Just to, this is how we start with everything, bringing our mind into the present moment, bringing our mind into focus, and then bringing our awareness into peace in our minds, balance, harmony in our bodies, and peace in our community. What better way to start any project, really? But particularly this week-long conference, international conference with people from every continent, literally. We have people from India, America, Australasia, Europe, and Africa coming on board. And so the sankalpa, the intention with this conference is very clear. It's to alleviate any suffering among young people today, because many of us were here because we believe in yoga. We know that yoga works. Yoga works for us, and we know it works for young people, and we would like to see more of it. And the other sankalpa within that sankalpa, obviously, is to inspire us, to inspire each other, to really forge ahead with this intention, not let go. There's so many of us who have stepped on this bandwagon and thought, right, this is something I really feel strongly about, and then it hasn't quite gone as according to plan. Maybe we've taken the course, maybe we've taught in a few classes, and then COVID comes and we don't have the opportunity to do as much as we do. We've gone off off piste a little bit and we're doing something different. But still in the back of our minds, we think, hang on, what happened to that? What happened to those young people I wanted to serve, and everything I wanted to share? That was something I was so passionate about. So this week is designed to inspire you, to bring you back on track, to make you feel, yes, this is something I want to do. This is possible. This is the way to do it. These people have found, shown me a direction where I have the research, I have the knowledge, and I have the skills to let people know that I'm available. So I have everything in place to bring young people into a place of joy and harmony, and to bring myself into their space in order to facilitate that. And this is a very noble and exciting mission to be on, and I feel very honored to have been kind of fired up by that mission now for 20 years. And this short introduction, we're going to have a short kind of overview by one of our patrons. We have some very wonderful, incredibly supportive patrons who are highly influential in various countries. And one of our main patrons is Sir Michael Dixon, who is the president of the College of Medicine here in the UK. And he has long been our fan, even though he's extremely busy. He is the private doctor to the Prince of Wales, and he also is the president of the College of Medicine, which looks at bringing alternative preventative medicines into the mainstream. And he's taken time out to introduce this summit and really give us a steer as to where we could be going from the perspective of an outsider, which I think in itself is interesting, because we're all in it. We love yoga. We know that it does well. We know that it can make a difference for people's lives. But sometimes I wonder, and I'm sure you do as well, what do other people think about this? What do medics think about this? What do people in industry think about what we're doing? Do they think we're completely mad? And sometimes it can be very reassuring to get somebody from the medical profession, somebody very, very highly thought of and highly respected, to talk a little bit about this topic. So I'm going to introduce Michael now. Michael Dixon, as I said, works for the Prince of Wales, but he also works in Parliament very closely with the UK Parliament in talking to them about preventative medicine for mental health, for young people, but also for older people. So let me just get him up here and we can see what he has to say. Let me know. Can you see this? Can you see there's a little playing thing? Okay, so I'm going to play this now and hopefully you can hear me. Let me know. I'm going to check the sound to make sure you can hear it.
It's a really great pleasure to say some words at the opening of this 7th TeenYoga annual conference. And I have to say, for a long time, I've been a great fan of TeenYoga and also Charlotta Martinus' course. And I'm really delighted today to be able to lend my support to your vital and important work. Now, I don't need to tell this audience about the immense strains that COVID has put on both the mental and physical health of our young people. And I should add in that context, their teachers as well. It's all created immense strain and a deep unhappiness in many people. And in some ways, you could say that the young have paid the price for keeping those older than themselves healthier. And that is why I believe that we must now turn our attention to our young people and make sure that we're doing something substantial to make their lives better. But of course, that's where TeenYoga comes in, because TeenYoga creates something very valuable, I believe, both for young people and indeed for their teachers, restoring through yoga a sense of purpose, peace, of harmony, and well-being. And there's plenty of evidence that I don't need to talk to you about today, showing about how this has created such beneficial effects over the last 15 years. Now, I particularly wanted to talk today about something that has really caught my eye, which is the Ambassador Program, which I understand today now has 12 young people who are teaching yoga to their peers in schools up and down the country. Now, I think this is amazing because it ticks so many boxes. It's not only about spreading the word and the availability of yoga amongst young people. It's not only about giving young people the means of playing an active role in their own health and well-being. It's also about young people being able to support, enable, and help each other at a time when I hear too often about schools often being places where people put each other down. It's about taking things from the negative to the positive, and I believe that's what this Ambassador Program is really doing. And of course, I don't need to tell you, it's also about creating financial sustainability, a means of young people teaching other young people how to use yoga as part of a well-being course, and also teachers being able to do the same, and therefore deprofessionalizing the whole process and making it sustainable. And what my hope is that this will become a national model and that it will get proper national funding to support the work that you're doing. So, in conclusion, keep up the good work, keep inspiring those around you, and keep building a better world where we help and support each other, and where yoga provides us with the means of healthier and happier lives. I wish you a very successful and productive conference, which I'm sure that it will be.
You see why I love him. He's one of those typical English gentlemen who has always in his heart the betterment of others. Like, how do we help others? How do we serve others? And his support in particular around the Ambassadors Program really warms my heart and helps me feel like we're going in the right direction. So those of you who don't know about this isn't only, he said, up and down the country, it's not only UK based, it's actually also worldwide, is we run online trainings for young people to share yoga within their context. That's an ambassador scheme. And this does by no means have any impact on yoga teachers in schools. In fact, the opposite, because the fact that they're sharing it increases the likelihood of its popularity and increases the need for a professional adult to be there to support them and in fact mentor them in that work. So they become kind of proteges of the yoga teacher in the class, in the school, and the yoga therapist in the school. And it also kind of enforces that the teachers need to know what's going on. If the teenagers are doing this, then the school teachers also need to be behind them and supporting them. And we're finding this is a very kind of grassroots way of supporting well-being peer-to-peer in schools in a very inexpensive way, but nevertheless supporting your position as a mentor and an expert within that realm. So that's what he was talking about there. The other person I'd like to invite today to have a little chat with you is, well, I haven't introduced myself. I'm Charlotta, and I'm the founder of the TeenYoga Foundation, and I have been working with young people for 30 years. But my partner, Nick, is also a co-founder of the charity, and his particular interest is research. He's really brought our minds and focus to why it's important for us to research the outcomes and the evidence of what we're doing. When I was doing, I just felt like we just go and teach yoga and everyone will see it's good and they'll want more. And Nick, coming from a PhD background and coming from a very academic background where he's worked within the EU in different projects across the world, actually, not only in Europe, but also in South America, he saw the importance of actually capturing what happens when we give yoga to young people. You know, what is it specifically? It's not enough having young people say, yeah, I feel great. You know, are they just saying that to please you? Are they just saying that because their friends like it? What actually happens? And so this is an area that Nick has been specializing in for many decades in other areas, and has brought his expertise into the foundation to very great effect, because that evidence base brings people like Michael Dixon in. Once we have an evidence base and we can give it to a medic and say, look, this is what's happening, he lights up and starts telling his colleagues, and then we have more of a platform to work from. So I'm just going to hand over to Nick now and let him speak a little bit about the research element of where we're at in the charity today, and also just give you an idea of maybe how you guys can help, because it's always good to feel, isn't it, how can I make a difference? So let's hand over to Nick.
Hi there, good afternoon. Yes, research during the lockdown, the research that we do in collaboration with master's students and PhD students across the country has obviously been rather on hold, parked, simply because it wasn't possible to actually get access, although some yoga was continuing. So we're just beginning to sort of start off again, looking at ways of developing the evidence base by doing research in classrooms and across schools. We're hoping to have some quite interesting news in the new year. Our sort of holy grail with research is to do a very large piece of research where we would have 50 or 60 schools and probably 4,000 or 5,000 students all doing a yoga program, because that kind of numbers is what will actually make academics and policymakers look up and say, oh, so it really does work. Because at present, a lot of the research is of a level that they would call anecdotic, in the sense that very often it's dealing with 20 people, 10 people, 30 people, and that's not enough to be what they call statistically significant. But that grail is still a little way off. I hope that we'll be able to give news on that in the new year, but at the moment it's not yet possible to confirm that. We are working on the new website, which we should have ready for the new year. It's being done pro bono, so it's a slow process. A lot of the things that we do are done pro bono. But on that website, we in a recent research proposal, which didn't actually get funded, we did a literature review of all of the research around yoga for young people up to 2020. There's a couple of things that have been published in the last year that I still have to include in there. One of them is a more qualitative analysis of data that came out of our hippocampus project a couple of years ago. And another one is research done in urban schools in the US in a fairly challenging environment. This was young Latino and Black kids in an urban inner city environment, and the research was looking at their resistance to yoga, their responses to yoga, etc. That was a very interesting piece of work. We keep sharing these because every little helps. But we're intending on the new website to publish the summary that we did then, but summarized, if you like, to make it accessible, so that you can all use that when you're talking to schools and to principals and to parents and so on. But of course, one thing is academic evidence, which is necessary. But another thing, particularly from our perspective of trying to get yoga into as many schools as possible, is actually just the actual experiential evidence. And we are looking now to build on the sheer numbers of teachers that are out there. There's now more than 1,500 teen yoga teachers teaching across UK and all over the world. And you're all out there and you're doing your work, but we don't really know what you're doing. We don't know how many people you are reaching. We don't know how many schools you're in. We don't know what age groups you're teaching. And all of that, if we could collect it together and aggregate it, we'd be able to go to politicians, to local authorities and say, look, there's this many kids doing yoga across this nation. Therefore, it's a thing. Therefore, you should pay attention, etc. And all of that is grist to the mill, helps us to push the argument that yoga should be more on the agenda. A lot of schools are obviously aware already, and a lot of schools, as soon as they get the yoga in, they see the results, they see the effect that it has. But increasingly, what we need is to be able to say to the people who aren't yet aware of that, this is a thing. These are the numbers. So we are going to do a sort of census in the new year. We'll be in touch with everybody. We'll be asking you just to give us basic numerical information about how many people you are reaching at the present, so that we can put that together as a kind of photo of TeenYoga at the present. And so please look forward to that in your mailboxes, because we'll probably be sending that during the month of January, a request for you to do that. It'll be quite simple, just a few questions that you can probably answer straight away. Nothing too complicated. We also will be developing a questionnaire, a very simple questionnaire for you to use, because we have one at present, but it's quite complicated. It takes a lot of time, so a lot of people don't have time to do it. But the idea is to make a very simple questionnaire that you can use to measure the basic satisfaction in your classroom, whether like at the beginning and end of the class, a smiley face, etc. Those smiley faces aren't much good at when it's just one class, but when you start to add them up, and when you see them building over time, that there are continually a bunch of happy kids leaving a yoga class, then that starts to become meaningful. And so that instrument could be very useful for you in not just convincing the principal of the school that you're in that this is working, but also for convincing the principal of the school to extend it within the school that you're in. Because what we're finding is that we've probably got TeenYoga in about 30% of UK secondary schools, but in most places it's one class. That's like less than 15 kids. So that doesn't add up to very many kids. But the potential for lateral growth, as well as getting into other schools, just spreading it through the school is enormous. And obviously it's in the interest of everybody in this room, so to speak, to do that from all sorts of perspectives. And so part of the challenge, I suppose, is one thing is getting into a school in the first place. Another thing is extending the yoga through the school. And sometimes we neglect that aspect, I think. So we're looking to help you build on that. That's about all I have to say on this subject. So please just keep your eyes peeled for that census request, okay? And enjoy the summit.
Thank you so much, Nick. It's lovely to hear from him. And I'm also quite curious. I see there's a few people here that I haven't met before. Some very lovely, familiar faces. Very nice to see you, Natalie and Jenny and Kate and so on. But some people I haven't met before, and I would just thought maybe interesting just to hear a little bit from you guys, because there's not too many people in the room, so we do have time for that. Nick is actually on another call at the moment, so he has to rush off. But the rest of us, if we could just give us a couple of moments of just letting me know where you're based and whether you're actually teaching TeenYoga now or what your interest in this is, so that we can spend the next few moments just addressing those issues, and maybe also what you hope to get out of this summit. I think that might be of interest as well. We also have the organizer here, Nikki Dye, if you can wave, everyone can see you. And then we also have Lisa, who's going to be presenting a lovely talk on working with special educational needs and yoga and young people. So that's lovely to have those two people with us. But the rest of you, would be nice maybe just to get a feel for where you are in the world and what your interest is. Would that be okay? Is that everybody okay with that? Yeah. So Valeska, let's hear from you. So you're in Canada, and you're French speaking Canada, I think. You need to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. I mostly speak French here. My husband is a French Canadian. I'm originally Brazilian. I live in Canada, been here for 20 years. And it's been 5 years that I started working with yoga for kids. I started for kids in general. I had a smaller experience in yoga for adolescents, and but in the last couple of years, I started to concentrate more into TeenYoga. And it's been a while that I was waiting for the opportunity to take part in the summit and take the online training that I'm taking in January.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also started including journaling and creative journaling into my classes. So it's a way for me to add some creativity. I think it brings yoga to another level. It's complementary, and that's it. And I'm a mother of two teenagers, 13 and 17. So yeah, the one that of 13, she would be a good candidate
for ambassadors. Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah. Why not? Great. Well, thank you so much for introducing yourself. That's absolutely perfect. Just so that we know more or less where you're at. Yeah. Eliza, would you mind?
Hi,
darling.
My name's I've got Eliza up there, but I'm normally Liz. But I prefer Eliza, but so people know me as Liz. So I'm a paediatric nurse in Oxford. And my background, I've worked for ages in infectious diseases and vaccine research. And then alongside that, I keep going back into schools as a school nurse and then coming back out. So I've kind of been through all the systems of school, and teenagers have always been my big interest. And at the moment, we're trying to get funding. A lot of hospitals have it, but transitioning teenagers into adult care, and we haven't got anybody in Oxford. So I keep banging on about how important it is and to bring yoga into it. I trained as a yoga teacher in 2011, and then as a sports masseuse, and then I did an IRS course, and I've just done a restorative course.
Lovely.
And it's all kind of, it was funny. My mum's 83 and I said, I can't, I've got the time off work to do this course. And she said to me, you do keep doing a lot of courses and nothing with them.
That's a matter of opinion, whether you do anything with them, because they infuse everything you do. They infuse your work. So
they do, but my dream is to have a sort of well-being centre for teenagers. And
you need to speak to Ruth. Do you know Ruth? Also,
I do. Do you know, I saw that she's teaching somewhere else, so I met her in school nursing.
But Ruth is one of our students who lives in Oxford, who's also a nurse and also a teen yoga teacher.
Yeah, I met her.
That's why I'm mentioning it to Liz here. Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, so I'd like to meet her, but I've taught in schools and then given up because it just made me laugh when Nick said you sort of get 15 classes, and some of the schools I used to turn up to, and then the teachers be like, oh no, sorry, they've got exams.
Yeah, or there isn't a room, or
we ended up in a porta cabin once that was damp.
Only
once. Yeah. And I've taught, the reason I started doing all these courses, I've practiced yoga sort of daily for a long time, but then I went to the children's HIV summer camp, which it was their first year about 12 years ago, and they said, oh, you're the yoga teacher, and I was like, what? And so that's why, and then they said they wanted a masseuse, and so I was like, all right, I'll just do that. So it's sort of all extended from, it's funny because everyone says how much the children have benefited from the camp, but I think everyone who volunteered there,
well, that's the beautiful thing. Yeah. That's the beautiful thing, isn't it? That everybody actually benefits, and that's the kind of plus side of yoga. Well, thank you so much, Liz, for joining, and lovely to have you on
your book, because that's made me think, okay, it's not just me, and I'm kind of ready to go back in and try again.
Yes. Well, do speak to Ruth. And also the other thing that you guys should know, especially the ones of you in the UK, I know there's lots of people not in the UK, and we will address you as well, but in the UK we have an agency now which places yoga teachers in schools. So Oxford is an area where we get a lot of requests from. So do
it's fitting it around nursing, because they're so prescriptive with times, which they have to be. So.
Well, we can fit it around. Sometimes it's weekends, and anyway,
that's fine.
Give us your details so that we have.
I will. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Karen, would you feel open to chatting a little bit about yourself? Do you mind? Yeah. Is that okay? Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karen, and currently I'm living in Colchester, England, but I moved here from San Diego, California 3 years ago. I was actually teaching yoga at a primary school in San Diego, so children ages 5 through 12. So the children had yoga twice a week in addition to their PE classes. So they would come, and it was an amazing experience, but it was definitely a little bit of like drop in the water, kind of like, because you're by yourself with up to 27, 32 kids with some of the older kids.
Wow.
So
Okay.
In most of my experience, I've been a primary school teacher, but an early years teacher. So once they get taller than me, then I go like, oh no.
Yeah. Most of us do.
Yeah.
You're big.
Yeah. My husband got an opportunity to come and work here. And so we moved here, and I jumped into a teaching position right away in Chelmsford. And unfortunately, I was at a school that was not open to yoga and mindfulness. I did, after recess with the classes that I was with, tried to do a little bit of grounding work and breathing work just to get us. Because sometimes I was like, I don't even know how we're going to get to this math lesson with the energy in the room. And so I took the last 2 months that I was at that school, I did the Mindfulness in Schools project, like introductory course, 6-week course, and was just like, you know what, this is what I need to get back onto this track. And I signed up to do back home in Colorado. They had Breathe for Change. It was a 200-hour yoga program for educators. So I was all set for that. And then, well, pandemic hit. Changed plans. So I ended up doing my 200 hours and then my 95 hours with child-led education program in the States, but from here. And so now I'm at this position where I really would love to get back into schools, but I don't really know the area well.
For you as well, then please do get in touch. And if Liz and you, both of you, go on, or anyone else goes on to yoga-in-schools.co.uk, you can register with us there, and we can get in touch with you, Karen, if there's any work coming up in your area. That'd
be great. Yeah, and I guess the final piece is one of my dear friends, her daughter's in year 8, and she has to do a project for the year, and she's picked yoga and mindfulness, and so it would be an amazing ambassador. So I would love to learn more about.
Sure, fantastic. Well, that's great, Karen. Thank you so much for coming on board. It's great to see. And you're not the only one from California. Can you believe it? What are the chances? Francine Levin is also from California. She's from San Obispo, so that's 2 people in the same meeting. That's great. And Janine, hi.
Hello, I'm not from California. I'm originally from New Jersey, but we have a similar accent.
Yeah, nice to have you on board.
Yeah, no, it's great to be back. I know it's been a few years. I actually spent the last year in Germany, but I'm back in London now, back in the UK. And I guess in a nutshell, I mean, we've all got our yoga journeys, right? But I trained as a yoga instructor back in 2013, and then quickly also did kids and teen yoga trainings, and have kind of taught in schools and charities and with children and young people of all ages. And I'm actually currently working on launching a business as a coach, doula, and yoga instructor, kind of bringing those different pieces of the puzzle together to work with children, teens, and pregnant people kind of through periods of transition and transformation. So excited to see you again.
That's a beautiful concept.
Transition. Yeah, I'd love to chat to you more about it.
Sure.
But that's what I'm working on now. Kind of have a lot of experience also in education charities, but I'm taking a break from the day jobs to focus on that. So
great to see you again. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna skip Nikki just because of the time, but Nikki obviously is the organizer of this event, and she's a very strong supporter of this charity and has been at the core of the charity really since it began, and in terms of where it's going and where it's been. So just introducing, Nikki runs teen yoga classes in the west of London in an area called Surrey. So yeah, and Lisa, if you don't mind if I just introduce Lisa very briefly, she's a mental health nurse, and she works in the UK, and her speciality and main area of interest, and which is something she's awfully passionate about and very knowledgeable about, is working with special educational needs with teenagers. There's a lot of focus on SEN for primary school, but Lisa's very keen to work with adults and teenagers with special needs, and that's something she'll be speaking about during in the summit. So if you're interested in that, look her up. And then going to Hannah, tell us a little bit about you.
Hiya. It was nice to talk to you the other day, last week.
Oh, that was you. Oh, yes. Lovely to put a face to a name. Oh, hello, Hannah. And anyway, just before we carry on, actually, if anybody wants to speak to me, feel free to just email me and we can set up like a 20-minute call about anything at all. So my email is charlotta@teenyoga.com. I'm totally available. So yeah, go on, Hannah.
So I am based in North Devon. And I've sort of flirted with teaching yoga for years now, but I'm really looking forward to getting on the online course in January, because I just need that extra push to boost my confidence working with teenagers. I've always worked with younger children, been in primary schools and nurseries, and then kind of skipped teens and adults and gone into care homes, but I want to kind of fill in the gaps. And I'm really, really passionate about teaching teenagers. I've worked as a TA in a secondary school and can just see the need, see the value, and it's what I want to do. I just want to feel confident to do so and find a way to get into schools.
Yeah, great. And I think you had a personal reason as well, didn't you?
I did, yes. In May of this year, my best friend's 14-year-old took her own life. So I'm not going to cry now, because I cried at you on the phone last week.
No,
I won't do that again.
We both cried. And I hear this too often now. I never used to hear about this working with young people since 1987. I have never heard it as often as I hear it now, and it really fuels me to bring this to more people. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely devastating. And it's her family that have sort of sponsored me to come on this summit and to come on the course, because they want to try and get something positive to come out of what is just such a tragedy. So yeah, really, really happy to be here and to learn.
Very, very welcome, Hannah. And please, all of you, make your voice heard, ask questions, tell us what you want, and we can respond quite quickly in this summit. So please do be very active and proactive, particularly to Nikki, which is nikki@teenyoga.com. If there's anything you want to say to her, we're always open to that, particularly in terms of looking towards next year as well. So please, be active, be proactive, speak your truth and let it be heard. Kerry, good to see you. Are you in Devon as well? I think you are in Devon, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in South Devon. Hi,
That's
Hannah.
Right, yeah.
Well, hi everyone, but in Devon, yeah. So I did my training in Bath a couple of years ago, and it was probably one of the most life-changing experiences I've ever had. It came at a point where I'd had some really horrific surgery, like proper awful surgery, and I'd got back into yoga, and this is just a very potted history. I'd got back into yoga as my recovery, and then I suddenly fell fully back into yoga and went, we should be doing this with all the teenagers. And then
you worked in schools anyway, didn't you? You were working. I was
a Senko, and I'd always worked with teenagers, and I was a Senko in a little private secondary school. And then I did the training, took it back to working with SEN, and it was just transformative. I also trained in Thrive as well. But then there was this thing called the pandemic.
Anyone heard of it?
And the role of being a Senko was just absolutely untenable, and my job was just horrific. It all just went so horribly wrong. I had a breakdown. I really did. And I left. And so basically now I've always been a private assessor for dyslexic learners and learners with ADHD. And when I came to the Teen Yoga, not the summit, but what did you call it? The annual conference thing.
Instill, yeah.
Yeah, there was an amazing session that I went to, which was about teaching ADHD learners yoga. That again was totally transformative. And I took that back to my school, and I'm really passionate about, especially working with.
Who did that call? Do you remember who did that workshop?
I can't remember now. She was amazing. She was it was full on. It was
great. I'd love to hear it. That's good to hear. Yeah, excellent.
But the kids that I taught, they just loved it, because they could never do yoga before. But then this kind of yoga was like really, really kept changing. Yeah.
Right. Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Beautiful.
So Yeah, so my reason for coming here, and I want to basically know how I can create a private teen yoga practice.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what
that's very specific, and it's really good that you're giving me that steer now. And I think you'll find particularly Lorna and Jess will be working about, how do we find, what is our niche and how do we bring that into schools and so on. So those would be your particular focused workshops.
Again, private, yeah.
Fantastic. Lovely to see you again, Kerry. You look really well. Lovely to see you.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Honor, do you fancy chatting? You seem to be wandering around. I don't know if it's feasible for you to speak. Honor is happy. I'm happy if you don't feel like it. You're in the dark. I don't know if she can hear. Maybe not. Honor? Yeah, would you like to speak? It's up to you. If you don't want it, it's fine.
Hello. Sorry, I'm Victoria.
Oh, you're Victoria. It says Honor 9.
It's my phone. That's my phone's name for some reason. I don't know why it's saying that.
Okay, Victoria, sorry about that. That's quite a nice name, Honor.
I'm only wandering around because I'm locked in and I can't get still. My little girl and my husband have got COVID, so yeah. So I'm on my roller skates actually, but I'll try and stay still. So
Love it. How random is that?
Quite random. Sorry about that. So thank you. Yes, it's amazing. I have always done yoga since I was probably about 15, and I'm now 48, I think. And I have never taught, but in the last lockdown, my business just stopped. So we used to go into companies and do health for companies, and then there weren't any companies. Nobody was in the workplace. So I realized how tough it was for kids, and there was lots in the news about depression in teenagers, and I just thought, oh my god, I need to do something now. This is what I need to be doing. So I retrained with Siriati at Star Child Yoga.
Lovely, yeah.
And did her sort of Montessori approach yoga class, and then thought, right, I'm going to go out and teach teenagers. So that's what I did. I put on some I did a free class, and then got people to sign up for a course. And oh my God, I spoke to a few friends who teach yoga afterwards, and they said, oh my gosh, well, we'd rather sit with a bunch of prisoners, because I said, they would just look at me, But anyway, I've kind of got over that now through doing it a few times. But it would be lovely and then I heard about you. My sister told me about the Teen Yoga Foundation. So yeah, I just want to be able to serve them and help them, and well, I know I can't fix everybody, but fix them a bit.
Yeah, fix them a bit. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, just fix the ones in my neighbourhood, please.
Yes, those ones, and then it will spiral out. But I've also been really honoured to have some one-to-one sessions with some mums that have got kids that are having trouble and maybe self-harming quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I've been doing some one-to-one sessions with amazing results. Just just with the training that I've had, which isn't huge, but it's quite a big area. So
where are you based, Victoria?
West Sussex, so West Wittering, near Chichester.
Yeah, lovely. Right, great to hear from you. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, welcome on board, and I hope you get what you need from the summit. And please do, keep the dialogue open. Let us know where you're at, so that we can serve you better. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm whizzing around, and I might also duck out to take my little girl out. Is this recorded?
Yeah, it is. So all the sessions are recorded. Nikki will send you all the recordings. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, we're going to Sophie next. Do you fancy chatting, Sophie? It's fine if you don't. Anyone who doesn't, it's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it.
Thanks. I did the yoga teacher training for teenagers with you in July 2019.
With Claire Tamplin and Jean-Louis and Karen, I think. Yeah.
It was amazing. And since then, I thought, I need to do a 200-hour yoga teacher training. So I did one in London. It was last year. It was mainly on Zoom. So I've done. I had to meet some more adult friends with some yoga, but I haven't had experience yet with teens. But it's still my objective. And it was so beautiful, your yoga teacher training, because people had all this passion to help teens. And when I did the 200-hour yoga teacher training, it was more general, all of different reasons, but I just thought the one with Charlotta, we really had a name, and I want to help it. I'm not there yet, but nearly.
Okay, that's fine, Sophie. Lovely to see you again. Fantastic. Yeah, and Anya, lovely to see you. Would you like to tell us a little bit about where you are and what you're doing?
Yeah, hi. I also did my training in 2019, so I'm not sure whether that's the same time in London, very rainy time, and then that was obviously just before it all happened, the pandemic. So I tried to get into schools, and I think I'm more or less crashed and burned on that one. I think I have one workshop with a school I knew, but they couldn't quite find the time. Everybody agreed what a good idea it was, but you know, it didn't happen. And then lovely lady who was on the course with me, she sort of got involved with the Duke of Edinburgh Award, and starting to teach tried to teach yoga as a physical activity, and that had coincided with the pandemic, which actually worked really, really well. And I'm really busy. I could be busy.
That's great.
I could be busier if I wanted to, but and then every course you do for them, because they work on different levels of bronze and silver and gold, is a different lengths, and there cannot be repeats. Basically you need to design the entire course, and it needs to be licensed, and then that's got to stick to it. And of course, being online, you just have to have that how to establish a connection. And so I keep my classes really small. They don't take more than 10. And I've also introduced, and I talked about it earlier, journaling, which so they just write a few words in there, and then some. I mean, the recent group I've got, they really got into their strides. I've got the most beautiful diary entries and photos of it, and it has for them as a chance to say, I hated that, or I really don't like down dog. Can we not just do yoga without?
Really
without them picking up, without having to unmute themselves, which for some reason they hate with a vengeance. And so there's still a communication there. And also, if they are busy, if something happens, they can have a recorded class now. And because they still write their journal entry, I know they've done it, because there's this evidence. You know, you need to know that.
Anya, this sounds fantastic. I'd love to speak to you a little bit more about how this all works. Maybe after the call. Yeah,
absolutely.
Great. Great, and that's great to see you again. Really lovely.
You
and
too.
Then we have Zara, who came on really late. I don't know. I can't see you, Zara. So maybe you don't want to speak. It's up to you.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Hi. So I'm Zara, and I'm based in County Clare in Ireland.
Oh, lovely.
And I run Namaste Youth Yoga, and I have been for the last 5 years. I trained initially as a children's yoga teacher in the Elbow Room in Dublin. And I started teaching, I think that was 2016. And I started teaching basically the following week in a yoga studio, the Ennis Yoga Studio. And I've been building up my classes. I then took TeenYoga teacher training in New York, Karma Kids Yoga. And I was teaching children and teenagers very successfully. I had waiting lists and everything. I also go to schools, secondary schools and primary schools to teach like a 6 or an 8 week program. And then COVID happened, so everything kind of stopped. And now I'm back since September trying to build up my small business again and just trying to get people back in. And things have been fairly slow. But I'm here because I just wanted to be inspired and kind of meet like-minded people, and that's it really. I'm a mother.
Zara, well, very welcome. I hope you enjoy the journey of the 7 days. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks.
We see Natalie. Would you like to speak, or are you busy, Natalie?
Hello. Yes, no, that's fine. Sorry, I only have my camera off because my internet keeps like going off and on sometimes. So I wasn't hiding.
Okay.
Hi. Yes. I have worked in secondary education for the past 8 years, and both in the UK and abroad. So I've been in South America, in Peru, for the last few years. I did my yoga teacher training a few years ago, and then I did my teen yoga training with Lisa. I think we went into lockdown about 2 weeks before we finished our training. And yeah, so unfortunately, because of the pandemic, most of my teen yoga experience so far has been online. But I've been running weekly sessions every Wednesday during tutor times through Zoom, which has been really successful, but obviously not the same as being in person. And yeah, I'm in the process of moving back to the UK at the moment, so I'm looking at opportunities to be able to work in the UK and hopefully learn and be inspired from other people.
Wonderful. Well, welcome back, Natalie.
Thank you.
Let us know when you're here and where you are.
Yes, I will do.
Keep in touch.
Thank you.
Great to have you. So Natalie's all the way from Peru. So we have Canada, Peru, US. It's so exciting. in Ireland too. Karen, I don't know if you want to speak. I can see, but sometimes when people don't have the camera on, it's because they can't speak as well. Katie, I know you wanted to be last. Oh, Karen, hey, it's you. Hey, Karen Whiteman. Oh, wow, that's cool. So Karen was also face-to-face in London ages ago, went to Australia and then came back and is now in the UK. And in Devon, in fact, another Devonian, I think.
No, Dorset.
Dorset, that's it.
Yeah, so I think like almost neighbours, but maybe Somerset in between.
Yeah, exactly. In between me and Karen and Kerry, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm here to really to be inspired by what everybody's doing and to possibly network with new connections. And it's been I'm running my own teacher training. I'm running the 95 hours, but I mainly teach in Asia, and so that's what I've been continuing to do while I've been here. So I actually haven't taught in the UK yet. Well, I did a couple of Zoom classes for the brownies, actually, which was fantastic. And so, yeah, I'm kind of, to be honest, I'm kind of like finding my feet here and working out where I'm going to put my energies. But it's just really, listening to everybody. I'm super passionate about teens. I'm moving more as I'm maturing. I'm definitely kind of moving more towards feeling that that's the group that I really want to focus on more. So I'm just gonna see what happens, really. But
great. No, that sounds positive, Karen, and wonderful for you to really get your feel for what's going on in the UK and how it works here, so that you can find your way. Well, so good to see you again. That's wonderful.
Lovely. Thanks, Charlotta. Thanks.
Okay. And I think Francine said she couldn't really speak, but she's in California, in Obispo, I think she said. And there's a little text there about herself in the chat. And then Claire is also one of the team. She's our social media manager, and she also runs the retreat group. So we've run a retreat group since actually that came out of last year's summit. So the things like this, we're really open to that level of creativity. If there's an interest here, then we're like, oh, let's set up a group, let's talk about it, let's see how we can help you to work through that. And Claire was part of a very, very active retreat group that set up like what is best practice, how do we do this? Do you want to speak a little bit about it, Claire, briefly? Also, Claire lived in Spain and we met in Spain, and she now oscillates from Spain to England. But I don't know if you wanted to say anything else, Claire.
Hi, sorry, I had my camera off. I was late joining Charlotta, and I've had to resort to the bedroom because the kids are downstairs having a Spanish lesson. Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm Claire. So I got to experience Charlotta's lovely training in Spain in 2017, I think it was, Charlotta.
I think so, yeah.
Currently, I was living there. I'm now back in the UK. So I've been back in the UK 2 years. And yes, part of the Teen Yoga retreats group, which is amazing. Lots of things happening at the moment. It's all really coming together. And I'm going to be talking about it more on Friday at 4 o'clock with Florendia, who's the manager of the Teen Retreat project. So looking forward to sharing more about it. And we have our pilot retreat in April.
Yeah, we'd really like to see more retreats just for teenagers, and really we've been working over the last over the last year actually on like what would an ideal retreat look like, what should we put in there, who should be leading it, what should we be teaching it, what should the vibe be, how many people should be in it, where should it be, really like fine-tuning the best possible offering that we can give, and Claire and Florendia will be talking about that and how you guys can get involved, because obviously we'd like to grow that and we'd like to get more teachers involved in those retreats. So that would be great. Thanks, Claire, for introducing that. Katie, I know you said you wanted to be last. I think you are last if you're wanting to talk now.
Thank you. Sorry, I was just giving kids a lift. Yes, I'm Katie, and I did the Teen Yoga Foundation course in June. I've been a yoga teacher for about 20 years, and I mainly teach pregnancy and postnatal and yoga for the elderly and yoga for dementia. But I'm looking to, well, I did the course, which was fantastic. And I'm hoping to be inspired by how to set up classes, because I'm struggling a little bit, not mainly with myself, rather than there not being opportunities. So it's really interesting to hear about Duke of Edinburgh and one-to-one sessions and all kinds of things. So yeah, I'm just excited to be here and hear what everyone else is getting up to.
Yeah, wonderful. And let's keep these conversations going, so it's not a one way ticket. It's both everybody speaking to each other, because I think that is very interesting. And the chai and chat on Thursday, is it 4 o'clock? Nikki, is particularly for that, isn't it? Is it 4 o'clock?
It's 6 o'clock, and Katie was on it this morning.
Right. Okay. So that is particularly for networking, and it's for chatting, and it's for kind of working out, like, what do we want to talk about, and it's very much an open forum. So that's something that I suggest that you join, and if you can't join it, then you can watch the recording. You'll get some ideas there. But also, like I said earlier, I just want to okay, Valeska, it was lovely. I'll see you again in another talk. Beautiful to see you. But also, if you ever want to just have a short chat with me, I might be able to help with something, then feel free to email me at TeenYoga at Charlotta at teenyoga.com. So Charlotta with an A. So just to kind of conclude then, because I know this is the introduction to the summit. We have some quite extraordinary speakers, people who a few years ago I could only imagine that they might be interested in the work that we do, are now literally contacting us going, oh, is it going to be a summit? Can I speak again? And it's really exciting to have those level, that of caliber of people speaking. And one of those people is Satbir Khalsa, who will be speaking about the research on yoga for young people, what it's shown us, but also what needs to be done in that field. And he's a professor at Harvard University in medicine, so he comes from a very, very kind of evidence-based background, which is what we're looking for. And I think it would be super inspiring for you to see him. And Nikki and I decided that actually that's the only one, is going to be free. So if you know people who can't come to the summit but might be interested in that, let them know that time. And maybe Nikki, you could remind us the time of that. You've probably got the schedule there somewhere, and the code, so you can just let your friends know, like, I'm on this great summit, there's this one talk that's actually free, come to it. And I think you would benefit from showing people him, because he's such an entertaining speaker, and he's so knowledgeable. He's in his 70s now, but that's been his focus for most of his life since the 1970s. Nikki, what time is it?
5 o'clock tomorrow.
5 o'clock tomorrow. Okay, yeah.
I'll put the meeting ID in the chat.
Thank you. So that's free. So if you have friends who are interested but not coming to the summit, let them know about that. And the other, all the speakers are fascinating for various reasons. But Simon Hass, who is the writer of the Dharma book, which is one of our texts, is the most delightful man. Anyone who's met him online falls completely head over heels in love with him. And he's going to be doing a Q&A and a chat about philosophy. So the yoga philosophy, this area that many of us feel a little bit, how do we do that? I'm not particularly confident. And he'll just open those gates and go, this is the way you do it. This is why it's important. This is how it's done. Don't be afraid. And he can be he is super inspiring just by who he is, actually. So I'm super excited that he's come on board. And then, of course, we've got Shirley Tellis, this absolute queen of yoga research, who runs the biggest research organization in the world, which is called the Patanjali Institute out of northern India. And she's going to also be talking about COVID and yoga, which I think is something we're all interested in. Like, how do we help young people post-COVID? What are the things that we need to think about? What are the things we need to look at? And then she's looking at, breathing techniques that might help and so on. So I think that will be very relevant. And then we have Sarah Jane Blakemore, who is Professor of Neuroscience at Cambridge, talking about the adolescent brain more generally, but also of a lot of use to us. If when we get our heads around that, we can share that with our young people, you know, what's going on for you in your brain right now. So that's going to be, those for me are the real kind of top outside people coming in. And then there's loads of wonderful teachers who I've trained, who've then coming back with their expertise. So you really can see their trajectory. You know, they started where you are only a couple of years ago, and now they're at this place of specialism, and how did they get there and what's happening for them. And so, yeah, really looking forward to the whole summit. But I think probably what's most enriching for all of us is this interaction. Yeah, you saying, oh, I've got this issue, and somebody else, oh, I had that issue and this is how I overcame it, and you're like, yeah, great, that's the way to do it. And especially because you've got people here, you know, from Peru, from the States, from Australia, from Africa, from India, who've got different perspectives on how things work. So it's not only the UK perspective, and I think that's important for us, that interchange of ideas. So I think that's all I want to say right now. I'm going to reiterate 2 points for you. And one is what Nick said about the census. We would love to know what you're up to. Even if you're teaching one-to-one every month, we want to know. We want to know we want to be able to map it a little bit. What is actually going on out there, so that when we speak to government, which we are planning to do in 2022, we can say, this is the situation. You know, this is how much they earn. This is where they are. This is, it seems to be a hot spot in Birmingham and London, which we're seeing now. You know, some teachers are teaching 100 kids a week. Some teachers are teaching one a week in different situations. So we can give people a little bit of a picture. So please look out for that email from us. Whatever you do, it's important that you fill that in so that we can work on your behalf. And you've already said it, but the ambassadors. If you have a young person anywhere from 13 to 20 who you think they love yoga, you know, I think one of you said you'd started, it was Victoria, started when she was 15. If you're that person, if you've got one of those in your class, you know, who loves it, send them on the ambassador course. It's such a wonderful opportunity to back up your work, but also to really see your kids flourish. And maybe even become yoga teachers themselves, you know, because there's 3 levels to that. And if you want to find out more, you go on teenyogaambassadors.co.uk, and there's a whole prospectus there you can download and give it to them, and we can take it from there. So those are the 2 things I want you to come away with from this particular meeting. Look out for the email for the census, and any kids that you have that you think would benefit from the ambassador course, wherever you are in the world, we can accommodate it. And there are opportunities for you to meet the kids that have done the ambassadors course, both from South Africa and from here, from the UK, at various points in the schedule. I haven't got the schedule in front of me, but you have, so you can see when those are. And I think you'll find probably those are things that might be the most inspiring of all, to hear the young people themselves say how it's changed their lives and how it's changed their perspectives. Yeah. So unless anyone has any more questions, I think we'll just leave it there for now. Has anyone got anything they'd like to add, or anything they'd like to ask at this stage, or anything practical maybe to Nikki about how to get on? Or, I mean, you all seem to have managed quite well here. Yeah. Okay, we have somebody who's just joining us now, so I think I might just summarize it for her as well. Hey, Sophia. So we've got Sophia, you're joining us a little bit late. We're just wrapping up. Lovely to see you. So I just wanted to wrap up what we've been talking about. We've just been introducing the summit and all the highlights, and we've introduced each other. We've established that we have people from all over the world: Peru, Canada, America, India, Ireland, the UK. So we're curious, where are you from?
Portugal.
Ah, very nice to have you with us. Very nice.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to watch the recording. Nikki, go on, ask you.
Yes, that's what I wanted to ask you, if the recorder will be available soon, or only at the end of the summit.
Okay, Nikki can answer that question.
Okay.
It will be ready after the summit, and that
okay.
Is because we'll be sending an email out to each of you with all the links to YouTube.
Okay, thank you.
But if there's any particular session that anyone would like now, then it takes about an hour and a half to upload after each session. So do get in touch.
Okay, so any questions about the practical issues of the summit, any trouble you're having getting into Zoom or whatever, please email nikki@teenyoga.com. If you want a one-to-one like conversation with me, 20-minute Zoom conversation or phone call, email me, Charlotta@teenyoga.com, and we'll see what we can do. Okay. Otherwise,
thank you.
It should just flow quite smoothly. Oh, Katie's got a question. Oh, now that's a good idea. Okay. So very recently, I uploaded a curriculum that I created together with Westminster University to our private group. That was a 2-year project, which a PhD student asked me to design for her so that we could bring yoga to a predominantly Muslim inner city state school in London as part of what's known here in the UK as PSHE, which is a well-being weekly hour that kids are given in year 8, which is when they're 14, 15. And oftentimes yoga schools find PSHE very difficult to fulfill, very difficult to create, because they have to create their own curriculum for it. And so I created a curriculum for PSHE for a 10-week course, and it was fine-tuned. And what her PhD was comparing that to a mindfulness course. So seeing what are the different outcomes of a mindfulness course versus a yoga course for these predominantly Muslim female 14-year-old girls. And so the outcome of her PhD hasn't been published yet, but she's just finishing off. But the curriculum has been, and I've published it in our private forum. So anyone who's done the course has access to that and can use that. I will spend a little bit time talking about it, but I don't think now is the time, Katie. I think because it's in a kind of introductory session. But what I might do, if there is interest, I might just set up an extra session about that, and we can talk through it if that's of interest. Because it is supportive, isn't it, to have a step-by-step, curriculum for you to follow. If at all you feel a little bit unsure about what am I meant to be doing here, despite my training, I'd love to be really have someone hold my hand. Then a curriculum like that can be super useful. And also, it's nice for a school to be given the paperwork, this is what I'm going to do, just like Anya said, this is the curriculum that I offer, and that can be quite reassuring for a school to see that as well. And that's completely cross-cultural. That was the purpose of that, to make something that wouldn't be offensive to any culture and could be absorbed in any culture. So that might be of interest. I'm happy to share that at the summit. So Nikki, let's chat about maybe putting an extra session in for that, because I know you spoke about that a few months ago, about would be great to have something about a kind of curriculum for yoga for teens. So maybe you and I can have a little chat about that over email in the next couple of days and see what we can do as a little
you
bonus.
do have a session, don't you, on is it Thursday or Friday morning? Let's see, Saturday morning. So I could do it. Well, I could use that as okay. On Saturday morning we'll talk about that then, Katie. We'll that could be the 11 o'clock.
Yeah, great. And anything like that, like Katie, feel free to ask me, just like, this is the thing I really need to know about. And if it's not covered by anybody else, I'm happy to cover that in my session. Okay, that can be just like mopping up stuff. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm super excited for this summit. I'm really excited to inspire you, and I feel very moved that we've come together to join forces to really move forward with this. There's no time, like Sir Michael Dixon said, that has been felt more important than right now, post-pandemic, when we're hearing too many kids are suffering in a very an unacceptable, violent manner. And if we can help prevent that from becoming any worse and even help them thrive, then what a beautiful thing to be able to do. So thank you for your sankalpa, thank you for your intention in that, and thank you for joining. Yeah, super excited, Hannah. Great to have you on board. And so let's just wrap up in the way that we normally do. So if we just close our eyes, maybe just roll our shoulders a little bit, feeling through the articulation of the upper body, opening through the heart. Inhale up, exhale back, opening through the pectorals and the heart. So again, inhaling forwards and up. And exhaling, stretching the pectorals, opening the heart. Okay, shake it loose a little bit. Lift the chin, look to the left, stretching through the neck. Draw the chin over to the right, stretching through the neck. Bring the hands to the lower back, draw the shoulder blades together, open through the chest, and release. And we'll just close with an invocation for us to recognize our oneness with each other and the harmony that exists deep down in everything that we do and everybody we meet, and the serendipity of all of this. Just recognizing that in this beautiful invocation. So Om Purnamida Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Wishing you peace and harmony for the rest of your evening and the rest of the week, and yeah, open a heart from me to you. So, have a lovely evening. Take care. Bye.